right, Pesto. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to do a little behavior adjustment training, or what we refer to as bat training. Bat training is my preferred way to deal with dogs that have usually aggressive issues. Pesto just really wants to play with the other dog, but he doesn't know any boundaries, and he gets too excited, too worked up, and the other dogs don't appreciate that. So what we're going to do is basically teach him, help him practice approaching and then going away. So when he starts to show levels of excitement, normally I do when the dog starts getting tense or getting aggressive, but in this case, when he starts showing signs of being excited, I'm going to kind of break on the leash and ask him to come back to me. We want to help him practice coming away from the dog and teaching him that just because you see another dog doesn't mean you get to go interact with him. Now, I have like a 20-foot lead here. When you're doing this, you need to make sure, and I already have it screwed up, so I'll show you how to do this. When you do this, the lead is so long because we want the dog to have the illusion, careful, just step over it if you could, careful, there you go. So the dog has the illusion of freedom. Now, if I just coil it like this, it has a tendency to get tangled up as a loop. So what I do is I do a loop on this side, then a loop on this side. Pesto, if I want him to come, well, he's already coming. But if he's not coming, I'll show you right here. This is what we call a mime pull. So Pesto now, if you can step over in the shade, and so you can see his bone. Pesto just saw Ruby, the dog that I stay with in Santa Monica, who we've brought over to help us. So when you're practicing bat training, we want to control the environment. If you want to come a little closer, because oh no, we got the sound of the dog. So we want to put the dog in a position to succeed. So sometimes you can do this when you're at places where, at a dog park or something like that, but you don't know what the other dog's going to do. So if you're not sure, it's best to have another handler or somebody else. So Amanda is over there. I'm going to have the guardian kind of off to the side, and we're going to practice approaching. You're probably not going to be able to hear me describing these things. So what we're going to do is, as soon as I start noticing excitement, my assistant here is going to drop cheese when I ask. I'm going to make a kissing sound, and when Pasta starts coming towards us, she's going to drop a little cheese on the ground. The cheese is going to allow the dog to be distracted. Dogs sniff the ground as a natural way of interacting, but also as a soothing or calming interaction. So we want the dog to practice doing this. That will help the other dog feel more comfortable if Pesto is sniffing the ground. Now, the one we don't want to do is pull the dog in position. So the idea is, I have the long leash, so if he starts taking off, I can let the leash out and then apply what I call a break, where I'm going like this, I'm slowing it down. So we don't want to have the jerk at the end of the leash, we gradually slow them down. And when you're doing this, Pesto, as the dog comes back to you, you constantly want to be, Pesto, Pesto, you constantly readjusting it, so you're going to be holding it like this. Otherwise it gets tangled up like it just did. Well, no, it didn't, under his leg. Now, last thing is I have a harness on him. This is really not the appropriate sized harness. I like a harness that goes around here and goes around here and around the legs as well. So you have a lot of points of contact. If you're doing this with an aggressive dog, the last thing you want the dog to do is be able to get to the other dog. Okay, so I'm gonna have the guardian walk that way. We're gonna walk directly here, and hopefully you'll be able to see some bat training. So Amanda, can you just walk in a circle over there in the shade? Pesto. 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 All right. Sure. So break him. Pesto. Now you really want to let the dog go where it wants, other than going too far. But you don't want to lead the dog. Pesto! 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 So when he's too close like that, you saw he had difficulty coming back to me. So we want to increase the distance at that point. Sorry. Interesting camera work. Pesto. When he comes over, cheese. Pesto. Pesto. There we go. And you really want to let the dog go where he wants as long as it's not too inappropriate. Pesto. 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 Everybody. Pesto. There we go, cheese. Pesto. Whoops. That was a little bit too much. Pesto. Cheese. Pesto. 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 There go cheese. Pesto. Pesto. So we're a little too close. I'm going to increase the distance. Pesto. 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 Hey. Come here, buddy. All right. Pesto. So we were too close. You saw he couldn't listen to me. So that means you want to increase distance, and we film him. Pesto. Good nimbleness. All right. Let's try that again, Pesto. And yeah, let's try shooting from behind.
Sure.
Pesto. There you go. Good job, buddy. Pesto. Come, buddy. Pesto. 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 There you go. Good job. Pesto. There you go. That was awesome. You came back on your own. Pesto. Let's get that untangled. Pesto. Pesto. Jeez. So in the future, when he comes back, just go ahead and drop some when he's leading up towards it. Pesto. Now he's kind of moving away. Now when you're doing this, you want to have a little bit of breaks. So you want to have about a couple minutes practice and break. In this video, we're pushing a lot longer than we normally would because we want to get it in one video. But when you're doing this, practice for a couple minutes, take a break in the shade, let the dog do some sniffing, play fetch, tug of war, rub his belly, whatever he likes. And then after a minute or two, we'll try again. Now it seems like about 25 feet is a good distance for him to be able to come away. Pesto. Jeez. There we go. So that's where I'm trying to call him back for. All right, Pesto, let's try that again, buddy. Pesto. Come on. Pesto. Line pull. Pesto. Come here, buddy. There you go. Good job. Pesto. 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 There you go. A little bit of cheese. Pesto. Now I'm running him a little bit on a loop right there, if you saw that. Now you have to be careful with a harness like this that's loose. You can see him, he can wiggle out of it. So as soon as he starts, as he comes back to me, as it starts sliding off his shoulders, I'm letting it go. Normally you would have a better sized harness. Pesto. 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 Jeez. Pesto. So I'm doing a lot more pulling than I would like to do. So we probably are getting him a little bit above threshold at this point. So Pesto, here buddy, sit. Namaste. That's the energy we want you to have. All right. So when you're doing this, like I said, try to arrange to have somebody else that has a dog that you can control the dog. And again, in this distance, about 25 feet seems to be his distance. You'll have practices where you go closer, eventually closer and closer. But when he starts that sprinting, that's when you start applying your brake. And I was trying to use him, when he started going to the side, trying to get him, use that arc and carry his momentum to come back to you. have an assistant or somebody that can drop some, sprinkle some cheese on the floor, just automatically comes back. After a while, he'll come back and start looking for the cheese. Unless he just starts looking at the person he's not interested in, then put the cheese away and just kind of have that person walk a couple feet away and practice again. Pesto, sit. This is my buddy Pesto, and this is how you can use behavior adjustment training to teach a dog to practice walking away from another dog.